I feel like I say things like this a lot when we discuss games, either for someone else or for myself, but when I played this game, I had no idea what the heck was going on. Clueless, lost, and loving every second of it. This game has overwhelmingly good reviews on Steam, and for once I feel like I can agree with the masses. This is a game that you need to play as long as you're into survival horror. The game is loved, and by some outlets that seem to attack games for no reason other than finding hot headlines. The thing is, as much as people love the game, a lot of people are looking to find out what exactly happened in the game that they enjoyed so much. It's clear from the beginning that this game is one that is heavily inspired by the likes of Resident Evil and Silent Hill. Not the more recent ones in the franchises, but the PlayStation 1 era, often considered to be the best in the whole subgenre. It uses that inspiration. Fixed camera angles, though isometric in style this time, limited inventory, and even a control style that brings you right back to some of the golden years in horror gaming. Instead of it being every town USA, the game takes place out in the universe different than our own. One where androids are common, and I'm not talking about the phones. The game is confusing, but we're going to do our best to make it as understandable as possible, but understanding at the same time that there is a huge possibility that none of this actually happened. This actually sounds vaguely familiar. We play as Elster, a replica in search of Ariane. We start on a ship searching for her, only to find ourselves in a whole new facility very quickly. We get a few things right off the bat with this game that, for me, take the game a step ahead of a lot of games trying to create deep lore. We get some number station-like sequences, flashing images that are stunning and quoting one of my favorite authors, H.P. Lovecraft. The end of the sequence tells us to remember our promise. That book we see at the beginning of this sequence, not the one referenced by Lovecraft, but The King in Yellow, a book I have talked about several times, in another video in fact, is the key point to the story here. Now when I say that, let me make this point clear. There is not one set way to interpret this game, so the best I can offer is give details that I understand to the best of my ability. The book itself is something mythical in this game. It's even banned. Not like a banned book like we know of in the States, where it's just a bit harder to find and won't appear in libraries, but something that is actively confiscated. We know this by an entry we find in the game. Had a strange dream. I was listening to the radio with my mother. Life back then, the numbers were on, and mother was taking notes with a book on her lap. It was that book I saw in the shop window of the bookstore where the twins lived, the one with the yellow hooded figure on the cover. I went by there to buy it. It was gone, and Erica said the protectors had confiscated it. The reason behind this is apparently the book has some negative effects on those who read it, which means the developer of this game, Rose Engine, actually know their history when it comes to the King in Yellow, Over the course of the stories, readers discover that the second act of this play causes madness or despair when read. The stories thus adapt supernatural, absurd, and eerie themes and events. There is an enemy in this game called the KLBR, known as the Hummingbirds, and they also have a direct connection to the book. In order to fight them, you have to tune your radio to a certain frequency in order to determine which one is real, and you can attack it. When you enter a room with them, you will start to see words flash on the screen. Because I was too frantic to even attempt to read them when I played the game, I had to go back and look at them later after I already finished. We get one quoting the Bible, but the last one shown is that of the King in Yellow again. Strange is the night where the dark star rises, and strange moons circle through the sky. Songs that the Hyads shall sing, where flap the tatters of the king must die unheard. Song of my soul, my voice is dead. Die thou, unsung, in tears unshed. The replicas are affected by this book, infected with the evil of the King in Yellow, just like it's supposed to with the actual book. Now, there's another book in this game mentioned as a similar effect on things called the Song of the Gods. This book talks about being able to change the world around you and how some people can hear it calling and react to it. So the two books both have the ability to affect those who read it. It's a common idea taking place in this game makes it more plausible that the King in Yellow is indeed managing to mess with those who read it. Now, let's get into some weird territory. Weird is something I know we have already hit on with this game, but I'm just scratching the surface here. We established that the book can affect people. There's a character that shows that the book has had great effect on, but there's a bit more to it than just that. First off, we need to talk about Nowhere. I really wish there was a way to talk about this game without sounding like a lunatic. There's an area later in the game that's all fleshy, and not what you'd expect considering the rest of the game's locations. I was a worker in the mines of Ling when I consumed by a shapeless sea of flesh. My flesh joining the flesh of many others only until my bones remained. My mind joined the collective of flesh, which persists after death. Alright, there's a bunch of people online, even those that run the wiki for the game, that believe the flesh is either connected to the King in Yellow or may actually be the king. Now there are several sections written on the subject there, and I recommend you read them because some of it went straight over my head. Anyways, the flesh is only where I start this part of the video though. ADLR, or Adler, is one of the antagonists for the game. In fact, he directly opposes your mission to break the cycle. Play the game a bit if you want to know what that's all about, or maybe I'll make another video, we'll see. In that wiki I mentioned, they talked about another theory, that Adler went down to the flesh and was corrupted by it. There is some evidence that he changed and possibly became an agent of the king. One specific part of the game is where he says that, "I wear no mask." Not something a lot of people are going to get, but it's a direct reference to the King in Yellow. You, sir, should unmask. Indeed? Indeed, it's time. We have all laid aside disguise, but you. I wear no mask. No mask? No mask! This is seriously just scratching the surface of all the lore and theories with this game. If people are interested, I may do another video on the subject. The King in Yellow is a very, very deep subject when it comes to this game, and I may have to do a follow-up. It's just a lot to go through in one video. The amazing font used that matches the Signalis font is actually a recreation by a homie of a homie called Nay. Thank you for letting me use this.